What's up guys, it's Mantis here, and I am still pissed off about the Quantum Exo-1 power armor existing in Fallout 4. Why am I pissed off about it? I don't know, I get upset about things that don't matter at all, and this is one of those things that really doesn't matter at all, but it really gets under my skin. When you look at the loading screen in Fallout 4, it says that the Exo-1 series of power armor was developed after the Great War. Then, in nuka-world, I always call it that, in the nuka-world DLC for Fallout 4, we find an Exo-1 suit of power armor locked behind a giant, glass enclosure. Bulletproof glass or whatever. I don't know what the... bomb-proof, it seems like. Glass enclosure, painted up with the colors of Nuka-Cola Quantum. Just existing where it shouldn't exist. Now, other Fallout YouTubers, like Oxhorn, would tell you he has to get his Bethesda shekels, so he'll tell you that it makes sense because there's a terminal in Brad Burton's office that was clearly added very hastily at the end, explaining that the armor existed because of prototypes, yada yada yada. It's bullshit because pre-Fallout 76 and that expansion, so let's just say pre-nuka-world DLC, that shit was post-war. Oxhorn even went as far to say that the advanced power armor from Fallout 2 isn't the same power armor as the Exo-1, even though the Exo-2 power armor that's official through the Creation Club is just advanced power armor Mark II, and so Exo-1 power armor looks like advanced power armor. Exo-2 power armor looks like advanced power armor Mark II. I don't know, I'm kind of drawing some strings there, tying some strings around the old Pepe Sylvia here, and I'm seeing that I think what had happened, correct me if I'm wrong by the way, Bethesda, but what I feel like happened is, oh, you know, it'd look really cool, or be really cool, I want there to be a big reward for doing this quest in nuka-world, the Star Controller quest with the little things, where you have to open that thing, to find all those chips. I think it'd be really cool to put an Exo-1 suit of power armor in there, because that's the best armor in the game, and give it a Nuka-Cola themed paint. And we already had an actual Nuka-Cola, we already had Vim and stuff like that for paint, so their options was like, oh, what's the coolest Nuka-Cola? Well, Nuka-Cola Quantum, it fucking glows. Okay, cool, let's put some paint of Nuka-Cola Quantum on this power armor and make it a reward for nuka-world. You know, whoever's designing that quest, whoever, you know, is doing that. And then at the end, somebody with the knowledge of the lore was like, oh shit, it says right here in the loading screens that the Exo-1 suit is fucking post-war. I better throw a terminal at the end of the dungeon of the DLC in Brad Burton's office to just kind of explain it real quick, because then we're good. And note, like, everybody missed that fucking terminal entry, because a lot of people were upset about this at the beginning of when it happened. And then you have people like Oxhorn making videos that excuse it, but it's like, what really happens, and this pisses me off too, I'm sure there's lore-breaking things in the Elder Scrolls series. I'm sure there is. But not nearly to the extent that there is in newer Bethesda games when it comes to Fallout lore, when it comes to the way power armor works. And it's okay to change game mechanics. So I'm not going to sit there and, you know, grill them for every change that they make. If they need to adapt power armor to run on fusion cores so that the gameplay mechanic works better and it's just more fun that way, and, you know, it helps maintain the balance of power armors, sure. You know, I'm not going to bitch about it. Like, power armors used to be good for 100 years, like a century, the battery life on them. With the fusion, it wasn't fusion cores, it was like some kind of fusion pack. It was like 100 years. And you used to have training to wear them, stuff like that. I'm not going to, you know, nitpick and say, oh yeah, you know, that's not okay, that's not okay, that's not okay. But when it comes to just like caring about the story, I don't even look at Fallout 76 as like a canon or being canonical, because if you explain the Exo-1, the rare Exo-1 Quantum power armor in Fallout 4, locked behind something that was never opened before the war, and XO1 would maybe one existed pre-war. And I have also heard rumblings, recently, like people who protected the president, like Secret Service members, would wear that, which would actually line up with Frank Horrigan, because he is in an advanced power armor suit that's just like bigger because he's a big super mutant now. But, that makes sense because he's wearing a suit of it, and he's a Secret Service agent and protected the president. But I really think that's like... whoever wrote that in the Fallout game, because I saw a source of that on one of the wikis, whoever wrote that in the Fallout game was probably being a smartass, to the sense of like, well, the guy protected the president, wore it, so it has to be good, is what the quote was. And it's like, maybe they're just referring to Frank Horrigan. But if you're trying to say that pre-war Secret Service, right before the bombs dropped, wore XO1 suits while they protected the president, I never heard about that until recently. So I just feel like they cover their tracks by retconning different things and writing new lore when they do make mistakes like this, because there was a few of them in Fallout 4, but this was a huge offender with that DLC. But I mean, we had Jet being delivered to vaults pre-war, stuff like that. Bless Myron, going back in time and delivering Jet to people before the bombs drop, only to be stabbed repeatedly by a Jet addict later. How ironic. No, but if you can explain, maybe there was one before the war, and it was in that case and locked away pre-war until someone was smart enough to figure it out and get it out. How do you explain the thousands of people that came out of Vault 76 that have it in Appalachia in the year 2102? It just doesn't fucking make sense. So I don't even look at 76 as canonical. The Scorch Plague, any of that shit, I'm not even looking at that as canonical, as much as... Because I would call this, like, a side spinoff, something like that, like they try to say New Vegas is, and they rarely take in the canon from New Vegas. So I'm ignoring that as being canonical. I'm still pissed off about that armor though, because you could have just made it any fucking power armor. It didn't have to be XO1. Like, you could have just made it like the T60 that you fucking invented. Just put it in there. There's so many of those anyway. Just give it a cool quantum paint, and then when you get that armor, you unlock the paint, and then you can paint your XO1 that quantum paint. And then there you go, you have the quantum paint in the game. And the XO1. I don't know. It fucking drives me cuckoo bananas, man. But you don't see that kind of shit in Elder Scrolls. And if you do, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know the Elder Scrolls lore as much, but I feel like they care more about the Elder Scrolls lore than they do the Fallout lore. And that's sad, because Fallout has a very deep, rich lore. And they, fuck it, every time they just take it and they hold it down and do really bad things to it. It's not nice, alright? And that's all I have to say about that.
Represent the first. Now let me in my verse right where the horns are like, I gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day you die, you gon' touch the sky. You gon' touch the sky, baby girl. Testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day you die, you gon'